how good is that data at the farmer level? Do they even keep track of how much seed they sowed, what was the produce they got? Is that data sort of available with the farmers?
The farmers are very, very aware of how much their seed has quantity, the cost. In fact, this is because this is the biggest issue about farming in India today, is that it's not, for the actual farmer, it's not very remunerative. And that's why these young men are leaving farming. And because it's seen as something which will barely give you something for survival. There are a few exceptions. There are a few crops in a few parts of India where it's not the same. But by and large, I would say the agrarian economy is in distress. The incomes, and now that it's women more than men, I think the incomes have even, perhaps even lower. They are aware, but I think we don't have systematic accounting practices and we're not keeping records. Now, one of the things which is very important, and that is being done, I must say, even by Indian Meteorology Department and many state governments and others, is that we have to start collecting information on local weather patterns, on local, let's say, groundwater. Because a satellite may tell me something, but I need to verify it with what is happening on the ground. And so I think this two-way flow of information, how do we take the information from the field level? How do we take it and model it and then bring it back, as this is the right package of practices? That is something which is very much in the early stages. And that has just started in other countries, like in the US. So you have remote sensing data, and then there's ground truthing. And because the models that we have don't actually have the farmer's knowledge in them. So that information, what exactly is the problem with the elevation on the farmer's field, or there are some stones in the middle of the field, or any other problem, this information has to be come back into the models.
That's exactly what I had in mind. So you're saying we're not very far behind where the world is in that space. And, Indian entrepreneurs can step in, make a change or make a difference to not just India, but solve a problem for the world at large. Since synthesizing ground truth data, as you said, to, with satellite and other external data sources is still an unsolved problem in some sense.
I think it's a very, very big research challenge at present, is that all the modeling of the impact of climate change on agriculture is coming out of global models based on global assumptions. And this is something that we need Indian models to be developed. And similarly, Vietnamese models or something. I'm not saying India is special, but what are our conditions? What are the actual facts on the ground? And these assumptions that are being made, we need to question them, and we need to put our data into those models and develop new models, which then can be used by other people in the world. And I think Indian scientists in many disciplines have made this kind of contribution at the global level. And if I can talk from something which is in my field of economics, after independence, particularly in the 70s and the 80s, the question of how to conceptualize and measure poverty, any student in any part of the world in India was reading Indian economists. Because our problem was so big that all the top minds were thinking about it, and whether they were in the planning commission, whether they were in the universities, and developing theories and concepts and indices and measures which are now applied in all parts of the world. So I think that if we realize that it's a very serious problem that we have to address, I'm sure that this next generation can actually tweak that global model or change that global model based on what our conditions are. And there's no doubt that with our population size, with our footprint in agriculture, in most crops, we're either number one or number two in the world. Yes. And in some cases, most cases, China is number one. They're a bigger country and bigger population, and a few others, maybe US or something. So, given our size and our footprint in agriculture, I think that the solutions that we develop here can actually be path-breaking for other parts of the world.
Absolutely. My own research for a long time has been in sprays. And you, a little while ago, talked about how Indian agriculture needs extra precision spraying because the land holdings are so small. That's an engineering challenge in itself that, I'm able to take home from this conversation. So in some sense, the solution, if we are able to solve this precision spraying problem, it's solved for the whole world, not just for India. I think we have that opportunity to test out solutions here that are rather unique or rather will be rather unique for the whole world. People like Professor Swaminathan come, once in 100 years. For a large country with 50+% of the population either directly or indirectly dependent on farming and agriculture, this is as critical a pursuit as it is for a country. We need a large number of smart and committed minds. And you've talked of the idea that these minds don't need to be all farmers. They have to come from multiple disciplines. And you just added another discipline, that we need AI scientists and researchers that would come in, take an interest in agri problems.